to this terrorism series part 2 lecture. In this we will take Myanmar as a separate section. In this we will see how Myanmar was acting as a safe haven for the northeast insurgent outfits, how it was giving land as a safe haven for Myanmar, how China was also interfering with those northeast insurgent outfits and were trying to disturb the India's sovereignty. Moving ahead, we will see. I request all of you, please go through this lecture till the end, and I have separately discussed about the northeast insurgency's outfits in my internal security playlist. So you can go there, you can find all the northeast insurgency's outfits state-wise separately. This lecture is completely completely related with the terrorism, with our neighbors, how they are supplying it. So in this lecture we will see that how Myanmar was acting as a safe haven. Various northeast insurgent outfits like NSCL, Khaplang faction, then KYKL, they were receiving support from the Myanmar regions. There were another outfits were present in the Myanmar region, and this Indian northeast outfits both collide together, and they were getting support from the China also in the form of funds and weapons. Okay, and ultimately they were successfully creating disturbance in the Indian soil. Like the NSCN had the aim of liberating Nagaland, a greater Nagaland, Nagalim, they called it as the Nagalim, a greater Nagaland. So they want to liberate Nagaland from India. So there was aim, and they were getting support from the Myanmar regions. And there were one other faction of this NSCN-K, that is Khaplang faction. Khaplang is the name of the leader. Another was the Isaac Mumia faction. Isaac and Mumia was two another leaders. They were getting support from the Bangladesh. Their safe haven was in Bangladesh, and this Khaplang faction, this NSCN-K, had a safe haven in Myanmar. Okay. So especially when Myanmar was under the military rule, that is the junta military rule, a few sections of the Myanmar armed forces and some government officials had extended some support to the India terror outfits. They were helping as to the terror outfits of the Indian soil, that the northeast insurgent outfits like NSCN Khaplang faction, and they were helping them by providing them funds and weapons and a safe haven for them to hide whenever the Indian security forces attacks them. So in this way Myanmar was acting as a safe haven for them. Whenever Indian security forces attacks them, they safely move to the Myanmar section. And it was only from the Arunachal Pradesh region. Arunachal Pradesh does not have its own ground insurgent outfits, but this route was using as a cross border for them. Okay, so we also have few local insurgent movements within Myanmar and had given some support to the anti-Indian terror outfits. Like similarly, like India had terror outfits that they both, that not the insurgent outfit. Similarly, Myanmar also had a insurgent movements, and ultimately when they collide together, when they form a group, they become powerful, and ultimately they together are starting to attack in Indian soils. So the support given by few sections of the military junta or local militants support them, this Indian terror outfits, and it is not because of rivalry against India, but it was due to the influence exerted on them by China, because India does not have any issue Myanmar even from long back, but the China was creating pressure on them, and ultimately they were helping them as a safe haven, and they were helping them as providing them weapons and all. Okay, so especially between 1970s and 1990s, China was actively supporting northeast insurgent movements by using its influence on the military junta of Myanmar and some of the ethnic insurgent movements which are actively inside Myanmar. So the main role of acting of Myanmar as a safe haven, the role was created by nobody but China. It was China who was influencing it. Okay, so ultimately we will see a ARSA formation, that is nothing but Arakan Rohingya Salvation Army. How this was formed. So apart from all those insurgent outfits, the main birth on the land of Myanmar was the one insurgent outfit, that is Arakan Rohingya Salvation Army, that is ARSA. The term Arakan, the term Arakan refers to the mountain range in Myanmar. Rohingyas are the ethnic Muslim minority who are found in the Rakhine state of Myanmar. And historically, Rohingyas belonged to a peaceful merchant community. Note this word. Historically, Rohingyas were peaceful merchant community which was settled by Chittagong area of Bangladesh, that they settled in the Chittagong area of that is Bangladesh by British and all. But over the century, they migrated and settled in the Rakhine state of Myanmar. But for the last 40 to 50 years, this Rohingya became minor groups in that regions. Rohingyas become minority and they started to be suppressed by the government of India, especially by militaries and the radical Buddhist followers. Like government of India were also helping them. That mention these things are not officially stated, it has been taken from the media views. So that government of India support was also because to tackle of the India's based insurgent outfit. So government of India helped Myanmar government, and similarly Myanmar government started to help government of India to tackle with the NSCN kind of outfits. Okay, so the such discrimination, that ethnic minorities kind of discrimination to the Rohingyas, led to the formation of this Arakan Rohingya Salvation Army. This discrimination rendered stateless by military junta of Myanmar and targeted through communal violence by the radical Buddhist elements. So who attacked them in that region? The Buddhists started to attack on those Rohingyas, and that's why we will see sometimes attack on the Bodhi tree of Bodh Gaya, that is present in Bihar. Attacks, these were attacks planned by the Rohingyas, but ultimately our research and analysis wing, that is RAW, make them a failed attack. So these radical Buddhists received the support of government of Myanmar, and the series of riots targeted against the Rohingyas were in 2012, 15 and 17. So in 2012 also there were series of attacks happened on Rohingyas, 15 and 17. The issue with the Rohingyas with India, why Rohingya turned against India? Because government of India never raised voice against them. This became a cause for the Rohingya Muslim, that government of India is not raising voice against them. And due to such target of communal violence, Rohingyas, USA labeled Rohingyas as the most persecuted community in the world. Most persecuted community in the world. And some of the victims of communal violence have set up a terrorist outfit, that is ARSA. Some of the victims of this Rohingya Muslim, they set up this Arakan Rohingya Salvation Army. So the reasons behind ARSA, India as a target, why they started targeting, I have told in the first slide. Same thing I will explain it in more deeply. So ARSA is not a threat to the military and government of Myanmar, but they are also a threat to India. Why? It is because the persecution of the Rohingyas in the Myanmar was done by whom? It was done by Buddhists. Okay, it was done by Buddhists. And India is the birthplace of Buddhism. India is the birthplace of Buddhism and number of sacred place of Buddhism. And such birthplace can be target for the ARSA. And over last few years, couples of attempts were made to target Bodh Gaya, as I've told in the first slide. And Research and Analysis Wing of India attributed as a failed attempt of ARSA, and it was only possible because of the cordial relation between the Indian government and the military junta of Myanmar. That's why that Indian government of India and the military junta of Myanmar are working together to tackle with the Rohingyas. But the formation of ARSA was because only the persecution happened in Myanmar, and India never raised voice against it. Why? As India was aware that Chinese interference is present in Myanmar too. Thus India never criticized any internal violence within Myanmar, because India always kept outside with these things, and this made Rohingyas against India, as India never criticized Myanmar on the acts of government against them. And this hostile policy adopted by currently by the Modi government also towards the Rohingyas refugees now, like this CA bill and NRC bill and all, ultimately this created lots of effect in the Modi's government policy against Rohingya refugees. So they are also against the policies that was created by government, because it was based on some religious kind of things. I will not go on deep on that topic. I'm just sticking with this one. Okay, so until 2014 India has not prevented the entrance of Rohingyas refugees. So as a result, over 30 to 40 years, that is 3 to 4 decades, around 40,000 Rohingyas entered into India and settled by seeking refuge within India. But now under Modi government they are treated as illegal migrants. And in 2017, when Myanmar government was doing mass atrocities, at that time India said one more thing, that we will identify the existing Rohingyas and we will send them into Myanmar. And at that time Myanmar government was searching the Rohingyas and they were killing them. So thus this policy ultimately turned against the Rohingyas. It was against the human rights commissions, and this led to the reasons of the formation of ARSA, and ARSA turning against India as a target. Okay, so I hope you have understand all those things. I just don't want to jump into the religious activities, because I have explained in the first part only, because that terrorism is not related with any kind of religions. It is connected with the extremism religious activity. So I hope you have liked this video. Please like and subscribe. Your subscription is a form of payment for me. If you have any suggestions, if you want any on-demand video lecture, please feel free to ping on my Twitter handle. The link is given in the description. Thank you.